And we're going to use the terrain a little bit. Of course, we'll eventually do just flat ground. We'll probably have to start giving the enemy advantages here, as we're probably looking at the most powerful Imperial unit right here. And that's kind of, it seems kind of funny to say. Maybe it's going to shock some people with the DLC that this is the best Imperial unit. But I suppose it won't be a surprise to a lot of the guys that come and visit the channel, right? We know that skirmishers are deadly, the accuracy is incredible, and so what this is basically the ultimate skirmisher army, right? We have two different divisions here. I don't even know if that's important or not, but we can flank and attack with one while the other one holds ground. They're moving forward. I still see lots of pointy sticks sticking out of the back of these guys' packs as they unload here. And these are legionary, right? We are just completely melting legionary. The shields are starting to accumulate javelins. You can see the Manavliatons have no chance, no shield, and so they just become fertilizer quickly. The legionary are starting to break down. And the enemy can't even really mount an attack here. The guys that charged initially got killed in the river. Part of this is the AI is sort of hesitant. It doesn't know what to do. We're going to change battlefields, but let's just go ahead and start an episode here. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. And for this DLC, we're going to be dedicated to taking a tour of the land of troops. There's a whole bunch of new units that comes with this expansion pack. There's a lot of depth to this DLC that a lot of people probably have not felt yet. Whether it's these units, which are the new Mariner units for the Imperials, or some of the other units that are out at sea, the Corsairs we're discovering in our pirate playthrough. And look at that shit. We had 3 casualties against elite Manavliatons, Legionary, and stuff like that. So let's make it even harder here. Evidently, the new boss unit of the Imperials here is going to need some kind of a challenge to be defeated. What can we do here? Let's see. Let's try all tier 5 units. And I've got a curiosity too. I'm wondering if these skirmishers all 5 and 6. I wonder if these units also will use hills the same way that they did prior to the release of the DLC. This is sort of new coding where skirmishers have it's almost an exploitive ability to throw javelins over a hill here. This will be a good landscape to test it on. And I don't know if this works. I mean, again, some people will say this is an exploit. It's the system, though. These skirmishers are incredibly deadly, and they have a huge amount of javelins. I can't look at it, of course, in the custom battle menu, but I'm pretty sure I read they have 10 javelins, and they're really good javelins, and they're really good at throwing them, right? So the amazing part here is that we're fighting on land. Supposedly, these troops are really good at water. Well, they're terrifying on land, too, if you have any idea what you're doing. And if you come by our channel on Tactical Enlightenment for the DLC, for WARSAILS, you will know what you're doing, right? We have thousands of hours of playtime. We have a Discord full of very knowledgeable addicts to Bannerlord just like me. And collectively, we have devised incredibly powerful strategies to destroy the enemy. So let's do 3 divisions this time. We did 2 last battle, worked just fine. What I want here, in case they come roaring over with infantry, is to at least feed them a square, right? We want to have at least 1 defensive unit here. I might even break off the 1st division and form yet another tough small division as a square. So they've got, oh shit, I forgot to put cavalry in. By the way, that's a good practice against the Imperials, and you could call that exploitive, but just make a drive-by and have them throw 312 pylons into the grass. Sometimes you'll get killed doing that, but if you're wary and you just kind of stick your head up briefly, a lot of times you can essentially bait the enemy to waste half of their ammo or more. Let's keep the 2 weaker divisions of these skirmishers. I guess we should start calling them by their names, right? The Naute. The Naute, some people say it's like nautical, so maybe it's Naute. There's a French word like that, so we're going to eventually sort of come up with something. Whoops, sorry, dude, almost drilled that guy. We're going to come up with something eventually we recognize, but again, these are the new Marine units for the Imperials, and they're javelin throwers, they're skirmishers, which is something the Imperials lacked. They did not have good skirmishers prior to the DLC. Now I think you could say they had like the 2nd or 3rd best, maybe 3rd best skirmisher in the land. And look at it, it does work. So the enemy's trudging up the hill. They're making their way up slowly, and our units have you know, again, you don't have to use this. You know, some guys will say this is a cheat code because the AI basically can see right through the hill here. So these skirmishers, before the enemy's even visible, are just raining hell to the other side of this little grassy meadow, and the enemy's going to be badly damaged before they even get to the top of this ridge. So this is amazing, or exploitive, right, depending on your perspective. They're not even halfway up the hill. They're trying to hold their shields up, but a lot of our javelins are either going through the shields or breaking them or hitting the guys behind them. And it's kind of a beautiful thing, I guess, you know, as long as you embrace the exploit or the system at hand here. Their shields are already full of javelins. They're going to start to break. That guy died. And now we just hold our square here. We could charge with these two rear divisions. Again, we're fighting all tier 5 units, and we have tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5, right? We have much weaker troops overall. And the enemy's rattled here. They're starting to rout. Of course, the elite Manavolitons are in real trouble. They don't have a shield. They're going to get smoked. These guys are just going to insta-die. And worse than the first battle, even though this is all tier 5, I'm going to have to make sure we did all tier 5 here, and we just sent them packing. We can punch a few guys to death here at the end of the episode. They're screaming like girls. So, look at our tier 3 guys come up here, and indeed the shipmate and the Coast Guard, which is like great, because I was in the Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard for five and a half years, and we just laid waste to 200 tier 5 units. So let's do it in the open with no landscape advantages, right? We can give them some cavalry. They've got elite cataphract, right? We should not be able to win this battle. Well, let's not get crazy with the number here. Let's just we'll be slightly outnumbered. So it's tier 5 and tier 6 units against our tier 3, 4, and 5 units. So we're demonstrably weaker from a unit perspective. The power bar is clearly going to favor them, and I think there's a chance we can win this because of the power of skirmishers in Bannerlord. We'll use our head here a little bit, right? I'll probably let's see. Let's do the weakest divisions behind that front forward division, just like in Roman times, right? We're going to have a vanguard. We're going to have our best troops towards the front. They can square when the cavalry charges. We're going to have to run here into place. I'm trying to think. The archers are going to be spraying us. We gave them a lot of archers as well, but here's the thing, right? Archers are really powerful in Bannerlord. You'll hear me say it on the channel all the time. Archers, properly used, are the best units in the game. That's just all there is to it. Horse archers are a close second, but I think skirmishers is the antidote to archers. Now, a good player will still scorch skirmishers. If you were playing, say you were playing Bannerlord online for some gaming competition, and by the way, Terror Worlds, you should do that, right? Make a tournament, because a lot of players out there want to test their mettle. I'm sure I'd get my ass kicked by some of these young kids with jet fighter reflexes and stuff like that. But if you were in a tournament like that, for sure, something people would do is they would properly kite with archers. We've made skirmisher guides on the channel before here as I draw a little bit of fire. Square, boys. And one of the things we've noticed is that anything less than 100 meters, skirmishers dominate. Anything more than 100 meters, it starts to tilt in the archer's favor. And so that means if you can kite properly, obviously archers are king, right? Especially like Fiend Champs and stuff like that, Cons Guards, it's all over. But the AI does not know that, or at least it does not practice that, and we're already closing here. We're 60, 80 yards away. Now, let's observe the behavior here. A couple things are going to happen. First, we're going to spread out, which you might think is worse defense. They hold up their little shield, and we took a beating here on the flank from cavalry. I got to get the rest of our troops up here. But they hold up their shield, and when they're not being shot, they'll take a chance. They'll throw their javelin. And because the archers are standing still trying to shoot, they get smoked. And the AI is actually doing, a good job with its cavalry here, sort of menacing us. I think once we get our two divisions behind here, though, they're going to be able to rain javelins downhill. On some level, you just want to have one division play defense, right? I can actually break a few of these guys off and send them forward and shield wall. And what that'll do is draw off a lot of attention from the guys in the rear. Now, the guys in the rear can charge and fire, and they're just going to dump javelins downhill. It's close, but the javelins are flying. The cavalry's starting to accumulate sticks in their spleens. we can start to flank here too. This is the other big advantage. The enemy's static, right? So let's put the 2nd and 4th on both flanks of the enemy here. And you know what? The power bar looks bad, but this battle's over, right? This enemy has no chance. They can't move, and we're just going to be able to kite. These units are athletic, and they have tons of javelins. I want to say they have 10, right? Which is an enormous advantage, right? Your javelins break shields. Again, it goes to reemphasize that javelins are superior to throwing axes. I just won't even accept an argument. There's no argument. Really, they need to do something to throwing axes to make them viable, because unless you're not paying attention, it's very clear that javelins are superior, and this battle is over, right? These archers are out of ammo, and they're basically cowering back here, hiding for their lives, because the javelins are flying. Most of our units aren't even out of javelins here, this 1st division, and it's tier 5 units, right? That back division, so they can definitely fight. They're not worthless. They're not as good as a legionary, but they're all right. And then the 2 flanks here just melted the enemy, and we just crushed tier 5 and 6 units of Imperials with our tier 3 shipmate, our tier 4 Coast Guard, and our tier 5 Naute. Can we say it? In fact, I'm just going to label this video the new best unit within the Imperial Kingdom. Now, admittedly, you need to know how to use your units, right? If we just F1, F3 here, I'm sure we lose, right? The AI does not do a terrific job with skirmishers. However, very minimal micromanaging, and I think you're going to have an unbelievably powerful unit in your army. And of course, at sea, right? These guys are going to be multitasking. So we're going to continue to do a series covering units in Bannerlord with the new DLC. You want to subscribe if you want to see more, friends? Please hit that like button on the way out. And I will see you, friends, next time.